Mexican that
Like guys, always I say this, you share that video and put whatever you want. When I say I don't want to fight Mexican, it's because I represent Mexico, and that's why. But I don't care. I fight anybody, and I fight all my entire life anybody. What do you think? I don't want to fight with one Mexico or Benavidez. But look, I hear his dad talking a lot of shit. But look, what he's accomplished nothing. One single champion, Anthony Derrell. Please, don't disrespect myself. Please, guys.
So Canelo Alvarez was asked about fighting David Benavidez a couple years back, and his answer was, I don't fight Mexicans, I don't fight my people. Then when Canelo Alvarez was asked about fighting Jaime Munguia, who was a 160-pounder at the time, Canelo said the exact same thing in order to stay consistent. He didn't want to contradict himself, so he said Jaime Munguia has potential, but for now, I don't want to face another Mexican. Fast forward till today when the whole boxing world is pressuring Canelo to fight David Benavidez all of a sudden. Now Canelo is in serious negotiations with Jaime Munguia. Even though Canelo is fighting on PBC, even though Canelo is signed to PBC, even though Al Haymon doesn't like Oscar De La Hoya supposedly, right? Some way, somehow, Canelo wants to fight Jaime Munguia, who fights on the zone and signed to Oscar De La Hoya, the promoter he hates, instead of fighting David Benavidez, who fights on PBC and is signed to Al Haymon, the same guy Canelo is signed to at the moment in time. So that doesn't add up. To make matters worse, Al Haymon offered Canelo Alvarez $55 million guaranteed plus pay-per-view to fight David Benavidez. Ultimately, Canelo can walk away with $100 million plus if the pay-per-view is successful, which we know is going to be successful. But do you guys know Canelo didn't even want to respond to the offer? He didn't even want to say maybe. Instead of Canelo accepting the payover by Al Haymon to fight David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, Canelo ended up turning down the David Benavidez offer in a heartbeat. And now he's in serious negotiations with Jaime Munguia to fight next, where Canelo is even willing to take a pay cut to fight Jaime Munguia. I mean, whatever happened to Canelo saying, I don't fight Mexicans, I don't fight my people? Does that only apply to David Benavidez, who's not even fully Mexican? He's half Mexican. Notice how Canelo doesn't tell Munguia, you fought with nobody. You need to prove yourself. You need to fight other champions. On the other hand, Benavidez, who fought more champions than Munguia, from Andrade, Darrell, and Caleb Plant, Canelo want to tell that to David Benavidez. Time and time again, Canelo shows the world what he's all about. He's the boss. He can fight whoever he wants to. He can make the biggest fights in the sport of boxing happen. He's in a very unique position. However, instead of choosing to fight the best, instead of choosing to fight who his own fans want him to fight, not just his fans, the media and the fighters alike. I'm talking about legendary fighters, the likes of Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, and even Canelo Alvarez's own countrymen, like Chavez Sr., Barrera, Morales, Oscar De La Hoya, Marquez. They all want Canelo Alvarez to fight one person and one person only at the moment in time, and that's the Mexican monster David Benavidez. Canelo has the power to fight David Benavidez, but instead of choosing to fight the best with his powerful position, Canelo rather continue cherry picking. What's new? We all know Canelo Alvarez is the boss. We all know Canelo Alvarez can fight whoever he wants to. But the problem is, Canelo doesn't want to fight the best. He doesn't want to fight who his own fans want him to fight. That's why Canelo will never go down as one of the GOATs. Due to the fact, forget about Canelo beating the best. Canelo doesn't even have the cojones to fight the best, respectfully, let alone beating them. At this moment in time, Canelo is actually better off fighting David Benavidez. Win, lose, or draw, than ducking David Benavidez because the whole world is watching him. Canelo can run, but he can't hide from David Benavidez anymore. His mandatory has been 3 years long overdue. Canelo and his team can't continue lying to the media without getting fact-checked anymore. Canelo team said Munguia is the WBO mandatory, so if Canelo fights Munguia, that's why. As if Canelo didn't just fight Ryder, who was the WBO mandatory less than a year ago in Mexico. Meanwhile, David Benavidez has been the WBC mandatory for over 3 years already. Canelo mandatory with the WBC has been 3 years long overdue. So Canelo cannot justify fighting Jaime Munguia for the WBO mandatory position when he just did that less than a year ago. The WBO mandatory will not be due anytime soon. In fact, the last mandatory Canelo will be ordered to fight is for the WBO title due to the fact Canelo just defended it and now he has to defend his other titles. The one next in line is the WBC, which is David Benavidez, not Jaime Munguia. Like I said before, Jaime Munguia is the last mandatory that's going to be due. Canelo and his team think they could continue feeding the public bullcrap in order to justify Canelo cherry picking. However, they can't do that with new media around. That's what we do. We inform the fans factual information on how the politics of the sport of boxing work. And they can't use the politics of boxing to justify all of this ducking bullcrap done by them. You guys are seeing how the media, old media is running this new narrative of Jaime Munguia making a statement against Ryder. How can Jaime Munguia make a statement against a guy who lost every time he stepped up in competition? This guy has 7 losses. 2 of them came by knockout. How is that making a statement? Making a statement was David Benavidez knocking out Demetrius Andrade, the boogeyman that Munguia himself and Canelo ducked. This is facts that's not up for debate. Jaime Munguia turned down a title shot when he was the mandatory for Demetrius Andrade WBO title at 160. Munguia didn't just turn down one offer to fight Demetrius Andrade for the WBO title. He didn't turn down 2 offers. He didn't turn down just 3. Munguia turned down 4 offers by DAZN to fight Demetrius Andrade for his biggest payday, along with Canelo. Canelo also turned down $40 million guaranteed at the time, which was his highest payday, to fight Demetrius Andrade for Undisputed, which at the time was Canelo Alvarez's dream. According to his own words, that was his goal, was to become the first undisputed Mexican middleweight champion of all time. Well, David Benavidez and Munguia could thank David Benavidez for doing them a favor by getting Andrade out of the picture by knocking out Demetrius Andrade, who was undefeated. Andrade was a 2-division champion, an undefeated champion, unlike Ryder, who never been a champion and has 7 losses, where 2 came by knockouts. So how the heck is Munguia beating Ryder, who was coming off a loss, is making a statement? I don't get that part. If Munguia beating Ryder was a statement to get the Canelo Alvarez fight, then David Benavidez knocking out Andrade was an essay to get the Canelo Alvarez fight. So which one is more deserving? And for the people that's going to say, oh, Munguia, he knocked out Ryder or TKO'd him, which is something Canelo couldn't even do. Well, listen, we can play these triangle theories all day, but let's keep in mind, Canelo also beat Ryder. Everybody beat Ryder. However, if you want to compare Munguia performance to Canelo, we can do the same thing between Canelo and David Benavidez when they fought Caleb Plant. Canelo knocked out Caleb Plant. On the other hand, David Benavidez didn't knock out Caleb Plant. He went to distance. That doesn't mean Canelo can beat David Benavidez. We all know David Benavidez has a high probability of knocking out Canelo, not just beating Canelo. I'm very sure David Benavidez is not just gonna beat Canelo, but he's gonna knock out Canelo, which is the main reason why Canelo has been avoiding David Benavidez ever since Canelo moved up to 168. We talking about for a half a decade, Canelo has been ducking David Benavidez, and he has been doing that for a reason. Even Canelo knows what time it is. Canelo truly believes if he fights David Benavidez, forget about losing. He will never be the same after that fight. This is why Canelo is going to continue avoiding David Benavidez, and not just Benavidez, but also David Morrell. Anybody that could beat Canelo, Canelo will avoid them because Canelo knows deep inside he is not close to being the best, let alone the best. Otherwise, Canelo would have been fought David Benavidez, and he will fight David Morrell, especially when Canelo Alvarez got offered his highest payday by far to fight David Benavidez by Al Heyman, when they actually on the same network as we speak. Canelo versus David Benavidez is ultimately, arguably, the biggest fight in boxing at the moment in time that can get made realistically. However, Canelo is not even interested in fighting Benavidez. What sense does that make? But he's interested in fighting Munguia, who fights on DAZN and works with the promoter he hates the most, Oscar De La Hoya. The math is clearly not mathing. The only way to make it add up is making the fights you guys see on the screen. Canelo versus Benavidez, and the rest can follow. These are the only fights that should get made at 168 at the moment in time. With the facts being laid out, we all know there's going to be a lot of people in the comment section who can't handle the truth. So I'm going to go ahead and hand those fanboys this capital L, since they cannot disagree with any of the facts I brought up with their emotional opinion. Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe below. And to be continued on the next episode of Akhi TV. Peace out. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.